Hello, Classical Conversations with North Olmsted Tutors. I'm excited to get started with our second semester, and I wanted to do these little videos as a reminder since our tutor meeting was in early December. So, we want to remember that science, we are practicing naming, attending, and expressing. And the big idea is to get the kids to discuss by asking questions for hands-on science. We are for week 13. We are doing number 121, which is tilt out of Van Cleve's, and also number 127, which is sinkers. So we're going to modify these just a little bit with Cornerstone's lesson plans, if that will help you, because it breaks down each of these steps, especially for little kids, and makes it a little easier to follow along. So here's week 13, number 121, tilt. We're going to start with these pre-made little earths, styrofoam balls. The thing I like about Cornerstone's lesson plan is it has lots of vocabulary. I think that's backwards for you, but it's access, December solstice, equator, equinox, so it gives you some vocab to start with, so kids, you can start asking questions from there and they'll have an idea. The first activity, they split this into 3 activities, is to do this part first. Take the styrofoam ball, trace the line, and tell the kids that this represents the equator. Ask what they know about the equator, listen to them, and ask more questions from what they do. Tell them that this is a latitude of the earth. We're going to be learning what latitude, longitude is. I think that's week 24. That's our grammar, so it's a good introduction to that. We are going to tell them this is the northern hemisphere, this is the southern hemisphere, and the equator is 0 degrees. So all of these things are great ways to start. Activity 2 is how the earth rotates. So we have this skewer through the styrofoam ball, and this represents the Earth's axis. And the axis is an invisible line from the geographic North Pole to the South Pole, and it shows how the Earth rotates or spins around the axis. You can talk about rotation, ask if they think the Earth is rotating right now. Here's Lena, that type of thing. So then you can demonstrate how it's rotating, and then you can explain the tilt of the earth. And this has a great model for you to see that how the earth is tilted, 23.2 or 23.5 degrees, and the equator doesn't change, but that it is a tilt there. So then that third activity is actually what you'll find in Van Cleve. So that is a great way to get it introduced to them. The third activity is let there be light and seasons. So here is the sun, just a flashlight. So we're going to have one student hold the ball and one student or the instructor hold the flashlight, the sun. We're going to notice things and observe. Well, now we've done a lot of naming, and we can observe now where is the light shining, which hemisphere is it shining, in the northern or southern. So you can start to take it in a circle all the way around, and now, wait a minute, did I do that right? So we got to keep the axis the same. Don't do what I did as you turn it. So keep it the same, and as you turn it now, when the earth is on this side of the sun, which hemisphere is it pointing at? It's now on the northern side of the hemisphere. So that leads into a great discussion about seasons. There's also another great diagram of this on your lesson plans if you'd like to use those. And it goes into the solstices and the equinoxes. If you have time to talk about that, that would be great. But remember, we have a second experiment to do. If you have questions about that, please feel free to ask and we can discuss it. So another activity for that number 121, if the older classes, I have 2, 4, 6, 18 of these balls and skewers so that the kids could make them themselves. I think the younger classes, it's good enough if you use the model, the bigger one. But those older classes, they might want to take them home. And we are ready now to talk about, in Van Cleve's, it's number 127, sinkers. And we're going to use Cornerstone's pyrite activity bag. So as you can see, I think inside of this bag, each class will get their own bag. Well, you can see it kind of. There's some pyrite hidden and some little gems hidden in here. So it might be a little more interesting than paper clips. And hopefully it'll work out just a little bit better. What we'll need here is a bowl for each student. We're going to use some foam bowls next week. I'll have a dish pan per class. And we'll have a pitcher of water. We'll have paper towels to dry off their gemstones. And we'll also have a little bag for each student. They can write their name on this and take their little fool's gold home with them. So that'll be fun too. So what we'll do is we'll take about a 1/3 cup of the mixture. I'm sorry, also, before you start this part of it, there is, again, good vocabulary to talk about with them so that they know what good questions to ask. Like placer deposits, how they're formed by water. It gives a good background if you have no idea, like me. And so you could talk about all these things and set it all up first before you get started. Think of good questions to ask also as you see me doing this. You might be thinking of good questions. So we're going to take about a 1/3 cup of the soil. We're going to put it in our bowl. And each student will have to do this one at a time with you. I think we'll have plenty of time to do that. We'll get moms to help you also. Then you will put it inside of your dish pan and add some water. Let me double check I'm doing this right. You're going to fill the bowl 2/3 full of water is what it says. So I'm going to show you. Okay, so now this is what the student's seeing, and the student will go ahead and start swirling the water around and around and around. You're supposed to let some of the water spill out. That's okay. When most of the water is gone, we're going to add more water again. But you're letting the water part swirl out. And then add more water. And you're going to let more of the water swirl out of the bowl. You're seeing what's left at the bottom, and they can start to see it now that placer deposits are there, and that's how they form. So students, you should have now a mix of small gravel and pyrite grains at the bottom of the bowl. We'll put this on paper towels to dry them and give each student, let them take them home. So they'll see all of the icky stuff went into the dish pan, and now you're left with some fun gems to take home. Remember to pour this outside. Do not pour that down the church's drains. We are going to be doing this activity. It's supposed to be done inside of room 201 and 203 where we did art last year, because art, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is going to have, we need the egg paint. So we got to be near the kitchen for that.